day everyone, I am Baby Me Also Deliver, and with my partner Jasmine Balon, we are going to discuss the types of natural method, specifically the symptothermal, ovulation, and coitus interruptus method. Now let's have first the symptothermal method. What comes up in your mind when we talk about symptothermal method? Maybe some of you would simply define the symptothermal method as the combination of the BBT method and the cervical mucus. But to further or widen your knowledge, I am going to elaborate what is the symptothermal method, how does the symptothermal work, how effective is the symptothermal in helping couples avoid pregnancy, can the symptothermal method help couples achieve pregnancy, what are some benefits of the symptothermal method, and lastly, what are the advantages and disadvantages of symptothermal method? These are some questions that I'm going to tackle. But before that, let's have first the definition of symptothermal method.
What is the symptothermal method? The symptothermal method, or STM, is a natural and healthy fertility awareness-based method of family planning that makes use of a woman's observations of her cervical fluid, basal body temperature or waking temperature, and other biological signs. Example of it, changes in the cervix, in order to identify the fertile and infertile times of her cycle. Couples can use the method to either achieve or avoid pregnancy. The STM can be used throughout the couple's reproductive years. SYMPTO stands for the symptom of cervical fluid, which changes under the influence of the woman's reproductive hormone, or estrogen. Thermal stands for the basal body temperature, or BBT, which rises after a woman ovulates when the ovary releases an egg. Research shows that both are reliable signs of fertility. The STM teaches couples to cross-check the two primary signs to confirm their time of fertility, when a couple will most likely become pregnant if they have sexual relation. How does the symptothermal method work? With STM, women learn to observe cervical fluid secretions and record the characteristics of their secretions on a daily basis. Cervical fluid is produced in the woman's cervix, which is located internally at the opening to her uterus or womb. After menstruation, if a woman does not feel or see cervical fluid in the vaginal area, she is probably not fertile. The onset of cervical fluid marks the start of the fertile period, and the fluid becomes clear, stretchy, and slippery as ovulation approaches. After ovulation, the fluid dries, indicating the end of a woman's fertile period. Basal body temperature is your temperature when you first wake from sleep. BBT is lower in the first part of the cycle and rises right after ovulation under the influence of the woman's reproductive hormone, which is the progesterone. It stays high for the rest of the cycle. Therefore, if a woman tracks her temperature each day, she can identify when ovulation occurred and when the fertile period of her cycle has ended. STM education teaches couples to chart these signs on a daily basis. Based on the rules that they learn, couples use the chart to identify the days of fertility and infertility and then decide whether to have or avoid sexual relations depending on their family planning goals. The multiple signs of fertility are used together to help couples confidently determine if they are fertile, infertile, or possibly fertile on any given day in the cycle. How effective is the symptothermal method in helping couples avoid pregnancy? If a couple uses the symptothermal method perfectly, it is 99.4 to 99.6% effective in avoiding pregnancy, 98 to 99% effective with typical use. That is, with typical use of the method over 1 year, less than 2 pregnancies occur per 100 women. This is as good as long-acting hormonal contraceptives such as IUDs, Depo-Provera injections, and better than the pill or condoms. To use STM correctly, couples need to learn from trained instructors and be sure to follow all of the simple instructions. Can the symptothermal method help couples achieve pregnancy? Probably yes. STM is also effective in helping couples achieve pregnancy. By helping couples identify when they are fertile, they can plan to have sexual relations during that period and are likely to achieve pregnancy more quickly. One study of 342 couples found that 81% using STM to become pregnant did so in 6 months. Without STM, it takes about 12 months for 85% of couples to become pregnant, twice as long. What are some benefits of the symptothermal method? The symptothermal method is easy to learn and an effective fertility awareness-based method for attempting to achieve or avoid pregnancy. There are no devices or drugs to use that harm the body or a couple's fertility. STM is safe, healthy, organic, and inexpensive. It teaches couples to understand their bodies and their combined fertility. The STM is reversible. A couple can change their family planning goals whenever they wish. And research shows that couples who switch to a natural method of family planning improve their relationships and feel more respected by their partners and more in control of their fertility. Can women who have irregular cycles are coming off birth control or are breastfeeding use the symptothermal method? Definitely yes. The symptothermal method is designed for every woman and couple. It is a great tool for women in all special reproductive situations. A woman who uses the STM will be able to understand her unique menstrual cycle. Even if her cycle is different every time, she will be able to understand what is happening in her body. If a challenge occurs, a woman can contact a STM teacher for further instruction. Now, let's proceed to the advantages and disadvantages of symptothermal method. So the advantages of symptothermal method are: first is effectiveness, efficiency, personal health, knowing your body, natural intercourse, save money in the long run, good for getting pregnant as well, eco-friendly, religious or cultural beliefs, and lastly, stop whenever you want. Effectiveness. STM or symptothermal method is one of the most effective methods of birth control with a success rate of 97 to 99% provided that the guidelines are thoroughly implemented. Efficiency. If you look at efficiency in terms of effort and results, with STM you have protected sex only on days you know are fertile. While with other barrier methods like pills or condoms, you are always using protection, regardless of whether you are fertile or no. Bottom line is with STM, you put in less effort and get the same results. Personal health. Unlike other barrier methods, STM has no side effects whatsoever. The pill, for example, has some terrible side effect on a woman's body. Condoms can give some people rash, and from IUD you can get infections. Next is knowing your body. This is the true magic of this method. Know exactly when you are ovulating. Predict your periods 6 days ahead. Measure the length of your menstrual cycle. Natural intercourse. A lot of couples says condoms cause interference to their natural intimacy. Condoms are preventing them to achieve enjoyment of the intercourse to its fullest. With STM, you only need to use condoms on specific days or not at all. Save money in the long run. Exactly how much natural contraception will cost you is up to you. Some women use a free phone app or a professional fertility monitor. Either way, you will save money in the long run because you will stop buying pills and minimize your use of condoms. Good for getting pregnant as well. When and if one day you will wish to get pregnant, your experience and equipment with the symptothermal method will be a tremendous advantage. Eco-friendly. One of my personal most favorite advantages of the STM method is that it's green. Practicing STM doesn't include creating any kind of trash at all. Well, if you're using condoms on a daily basis, you are using a lot of non-recyclable rubber and wrapping materials. And if you're using the pill, the hormones, after leaving your body, end up in our environment. Next is religious or cultural beliefs. STM is also a great solution for people whose cultural or religious beliefs deny other methods of birth control like condoms or the pill. And lastly, stop whenever you want. With STM, you can choose to stop practicing the method whenever you want. If you start and see it's not for you, you can just drop it. Unlike the pill, where if you decide to stop, you still need to finish the pills of this month, and if you wish to start, you need to consult a doctor. Now, let's proceed to the symptothermal disadvantages. First is STDs. The symptothermal method does not protect you from STDs. It can only prevent pregnancy and help you learn about your body, meaning that it is only recommended either for couples who are in a long-term relationship with a healthy mutual trust or for single women who wish to know more about their menstrual cycle. Next is irregular periods. If your menstrual cycle is shorter or longer than the average 28 to 30 days or just typically irregular, a temperature-based fertility monitor might not work for you. But there is a fertility monitor called OvaQ that works by monitoring electrolytes that claim to work for women with irregular periods. Fear of infection. If fingers or devices are unclean, during cervical inspections, there might be a possibility of infection. Therefore, this method obviously requires you to be sterile as possible, even though a cervical inspection is not a must. Examine yourself. This can be either symptothermal method advantages and disadvantages because for some women it might be easier than others, but you should take it under consideration that for applying this method you will need to at least check your temperature under the thumb every morning. Adjusting periods. If you use a fertility monitor, it takes time until it gets to know you and can predict your fertile days at the beginning. There won't be many green days to have sex, but after some time you will get more and more. The fertile days. One of the most reliable ways of implementing STM or symptothermal method is by either obtaining from sex entirely or by using condoms in the days prior to ovulation, the fertile days. This period is also known as la method dure, and it can be hard for some couples to master. Next, not suitable for everyone. The symptothermal method is not as useful for those with many sexual partners as other barrier methods are. It's equally not suitable for ladies with irregular periods. To know more about solutions concerning women with irregular period and STM, read about the electrolyte method. And last, disadvantages of symptothermal method. It takes good partnership. Unless there's a frank and clear communication between the couple, this method becomes practically impossible. Both partners need to trust each other, believe in the method, and follow its guidelines. The pill has an advantage here as it doesn't include any guidelines but taking the pill every evening. To implement STM without the help and support of your partner might be a hard task to accomplish.
And that would be all for my discussion, and I hope you have a lot of learnings about the symptothermal method. And the next method will be discussed by Jasmine Balon, which is the ovulation and the coitus interruptus method.
Hello everyone, I am Jasmine A. Balyon and my topic report would be ovulation method and coitus interruptus method. First, let's unlock the definition of ovulation method. Ovulation method is a natural family planning method in which a woman learns to track the changing features of her cervical mucus to predict ovulation. It does not rely on the presence of ovulation. Rather, it identifies the patterns of potential fertility and the obvious infertility within the cycle, whatever its length. Ovulation method makes you recognize the changes in your cervical mucus, and there you can try to pinpoint where you're likely to conceive and when is not. Now, how does ovulation method works? This natural family planning involves identifying the signs and symptoms of fertility during your menstrual cycle so you can plan or avoid pregnancy. There are 3 different fertility signals that you need to monitor and record for a natural family planning, and these are the length of your menstrual cycle, your daily body temperature, and the changes of your cervical secretion. Now, how effective is ovulation method? This method is about 76% effective at preventing pregnancy. However, ovulation method requires those using it to closely track their fertility in order for it to become effective. Because if you can't practice the procedure of ovulation method perfectly, then it is much better for you to use other contraceptives such as condom, pills, IUD, and so much more. Now, when can ovulation method be used? Ovulation method cannot be used with hormonal contraception like pills because these birth control methods affects the hormones that alter natural signs of fertility like your cervical mucus. Ovulation method also have a certain advantages and disadvantages that one should know. Advantages. It does not cause any side effects. Acceptable to all faiths and culture. Most women can use natural family planning as long as they're properly trained by a fertility awareness teacher. Once you've learned the technique, there should be no further need for input from health professionals. Does not involve chemicals and physical products. It can help you recognize normal and abnormal vaginal secretion so you can be aware of possible infections. It involves your partner in the process, which can help increase feelings of closeness and trust. Disadvantages. It does not protect you you against sexually transmitted infections such as chlamydia and HIV. It is difficult to use and does not work to everyone. You'll need to keep a daily record of your fertility signs. It is not suitable for all women. Stress, illness, travel, lifestyle, and hormonal treatments can disrupt your fertility signs. Moving on to our next topic, which is the coitus interruptus, also known as the withdrawal or pull-out method. Coitus interruptus is a natural method of birth control. It is a traditional family planning method in which the man completely removes his penis from the vagina and away from the external genitalia of the female partner before he ejaculates. Coitus interruptus prevents sperms upon entering the woman's vagina. It involves no economic cost or use of chemicals and has no directly associated health risk. But it does not protect you against sexually transmitted diseases such as human immunodeficiency virus or HIV. Coitus interruptus is unforgiving of incorrect use, and its effectiveness depends on the willingness and ability of the couple to use the withdrawal with every act of intercourse. Coitus interruptus might be appropriate for couples who are highly motivated and able to use this method effectively, with religious or philosophical reasons for not using other methods of contraceptions, who need contraception immediately and have entered into a sexual act without alternative method available, who have intercourse frequently, is free and readily available, has no side effects, doesn't require a fitting or prescriptions, does not offer protection from sexually transmitted infections, has failure rate of 4% per year, takes a lot of control for the man to pull out before he ejaculates. The man could still release fluid before they ejaculate. According to Michelle Y. Francis, MD, she would define the coitus interruptus method as an ineffective form of birth control. If you're trying to prevent pregnancy, this is not the way to do it, she said. That's why it is a good idea to look into using more effective methods like IUD and implant because they are the most effective kinds of birth control. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something from our reports. And that's all. Thank you.